People kill batteries. It's just what they do. Now, there's a number of things out there on the market, of course. You can put trickle chargers on and leave them sit, but that's not what I do. I've had, as you'll see, I've had some of these batteries now, not necessarily bought new, but, collecting them because I service a lot of the, I don't do a lot of service on tractors, but I have my own, and I do some, and I have some out in the boneyard and the laydown yard in the garden. Stuff that comes and goes and stuff I need to work on. So I have all these batteries around. And if you're going to hold on to them for a while, well, how the hell are you going to keep them? Well, if you don't have a lot of room or you're concerned about leaving something plugged in for too long, I have some solutions. And in this video, we're going to go through these batteries. I got a whole bunch of batteries. I want to see what condition they're in. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is we're going to take a look at this load tester. Very inexpensive. You can buy them on Amazon. We're going to do an unboxing. You're going to get a close look at it. And we'll test up a bunch of batteries. We'll load them up. And we're going to see what condition they're in. But to start off with, we need to charge our batteries. So you're going to get a look at this charger. And I've showed a little bit of this on also my live streams on Saturday nights around 8:30. I usually do one every week or every other week. It just says model MF-2S. It's multi-protection, microcontrolled computer. It's got the FCC, ROHS, and CE labels on it. So it's probably been certified. It comes in a nice metal box. And we're going to get a closer look at it in a bit, but I want to talk a little bit about it first. So now I accidentally bought two of these. I guess it was getting late and I was dropping stuff in my cart and I was looking at a whole bunch of different cheap ones. Can I get like good cheap electronics? You remember back in the day when we started getting good cheap electronics out of Japan, and for those that were into CBs or the Yaesus, into ham radio, or a lot of us, me, Sansui. I had one of the, actually still out there right now, old 80s Sansui that still sells for a lot of money. I don't have it anymore, but I had Sanyos, high fidelity. Yeah, the answer is yes. Like initially, when I was very young, electronics and tools and things coming out of Japan sucked. And then as I got to be a young man, they were some of the best. And I think that's kind of happening with the Chinese as well. There are some crappy things you can get. This is not Temu stuff. And I'm not saying you can't get stuff on Temu. That's another thing. But if you just go to Amazon, what can we expect to get? What I didn't like about some of the multifunction smart battery chargers was they were automatic. They had no control whatsoever. And on this one, it could automatically detect a battery, so it has an auto feature. But you could tell it whether or not it was a lithium battery, a regular ordinary lead acid, an AGM, and then it had this maintenance feature to it. So that's what I want to just briefly go over. On AGMs require a little bit more voltage. Now I'm going to do a separate video on this battery charger and talk about AGMs. And I tested both of these chargers that I own out on a dead lead acid battery that was 2 years old in my van. I spent like more than a week trying to clean the cells out, put new acid in, banging it with this charger, using the maintenance. I've tried it on these batteries. I've had it sit and I've let it do just a regular a basic floating charge. I've tested on AGMs. I really have done a lot. So today we're going to focus on just the tractor batteries. Before I load tested the tractor batteries, I ran the maintenance charge. And it's the button all the way here on the left. And what the maintenance charge does, it's a repair. And what it does is it pumps more voltage and more current into the battery than what you would normally see on a regular charge mode. And what it tries to do is, for those of us who know what lead acid, it tries to boil the battery. So if you have a battery like a lead acid, that's what it's really for. I have tried it on others, and that's we'll talk about that maybe in another video, but we're sticking with the lead acids for the tractors. And it will sort of boil it. And I tried it on my car battery, my dead car battery. It will boil it. The one that I made is it's like a big transformer diode set that I put in a different case. I ripped it out of a much bigger charger that kind of got all rusty and broke, and I customized it, and I'm not done with it yet. That one really boils batteries. So why would we do that, right? Why would we want to overcome the battery's general state of charge? That's called an equalization charge. And the idea of that is to saturate all of the cells because there's resistance in between the cells, and there's an overall battery resistance or impedance, okay? And sometimes the junk gets caught in there, the sulfates. If your battery is discharged for too long, sulfates are building up on the cells, and you want to try to get them out and put them back into solution. Because remember, the sulfate is in the solution, right? It's in the acid, hydrogen sulfate. That's required for these batteries to work properly. But as you discharge, that sulfate transfers out of solution and gets stuck on the plates. And if you can, when you recharge it right away, like any example of a car battery puts out a tremendous amount of power for a very, very brief moment in time to start the car, to start the engine. And then all those sulfates migrate out of solution and load up on the plates. But they're not really attached yet. And as soon as your alternator comes up and your engine's running and you drive away, and if you drive a decent distance, the battery now has a chance to, and the alternator has a chance to shove off those sulfates and throw them back into solution where they belong. So that's the hope for a lot of these desulfating, whatever, gimmicky, and you probably have seen tons of videos out there. I didn't want that. I wanted more of a multi-purpose. So I tested these features, and I was like kind of surprised, right? And in a video that I'm working on for my dead 2-year-old car battery, you can't fix broke. If you break your battery, if you damage your battery, if you discharge it too low or too many times, or it's just a crappy battery, you can't fix that. But you can maintenance your batteries. So it's important for me to start out by saying I ran the maintenance charge on all of these batteries, and I observed it. And what it basically does is, like I said, it raises up the voltage, it raises up the current, and it floats that up and down a little bit. And also, it changes the operating frequency, the output frequency of the charger going into the battery. Now, normally, if you just put one rectifier, maybe 2 rectifiers on a transformer right out of AC mains, here, in the United States, we have 60 cycles, 60 hertz. That's the waveform. So you could have half of that waveform charging your battery. You could have the entire waveform in DC charging the battery. And it would be based upon the base load, like the 60 hertz, 59, 60, 61, 62 cycles. That's how it would work. This uses that, and then it changes the frequency, and then it changes the frequency and the voltage, and it changes the voltage, or it changes the current, and it changes the frequency within that. And it does this weird cycle, and it could last, depends upon the state of the battery, it kind of auto-senses it. And it does this for a while until it finishes, about an hour. And again, I can get into this in another video if you want to talk about this more. I like that. Okay, that provided some interesting results on batteries that might be getting a little weak or are getting older and sitting on the shelf. And then I let the battery sit on a float charge for a couple of days. One of them was a week, because I got busy doing other stuff. And then I took it off of this charger, and one by one we went going through the batteries with this load tester. And this charge is like $30. I think this is like 40. Check your Amazon. This probably won't be out by Black Friday or whatever, but still, there's sales all through the holidays. And then I load tested all of these batteries, and then I put them back on just a regular charge, just to sort of bring the static charge right up to where it should be, and then put them away. And I do this now. I used to just use the old charger that I made, but once, maybe twice a year, or once before you put them away in the wintertime. That'd be my recommendation. This should be better, much better than my old charger. Now, last thing I want to get to. Hold on, let me put some of this stuff away. I'm going to talk about the last thing. I know this might be running a little bit long, but this is important for the concept of putting your batteries away. You don't need to leave them on a floating charge out in the shed somewhere. If you bring your batteries into some place that's maybe a little bit warmer, a little bit safer. For example, the garage is going to get the garage section, not in here. In here, it will stay anywhere between 50 and 60 something degrees because I work in here every day. The garage over there will be much colder. And of course, the shed will be whatever it is outside. So you could consider that if you have no choice and you have to leave it in an unheated shed, well then, fellas, you may want to have something like this or something cheaper and just leave it on a trickle charge. But you might want to consider this because trickle chargers can't do what this thing can do. And standard chargers will not be able to charge a lithium battery and an AGM and a lead acid and do this sort of desulfating maintenance repair charge. It's a lot to ask for. And I think we got it in this simple box right here. And the only thing it doesn't have is an on-off switch. It's got a nice fan on the back. It's not loud. I can leave it on, unlike my other charger, because I can leave it on right over here near the cameras. And you kind of hear it. I can get rid of the audio, little background noise if I want. It's a shop, but it's not loud. So it's not in my way when I'm recording. It seems to be built well. It's actually metal. And because I have two, at some point, I've been leaving one outside to sort of in the van to, get it charged so I can start it, or the booster pack, because that's how bad it is. And then eventually the battery will be replaced, right? I have one on order. I have a really nice one, American company called Odyssey. Hopefully they'll work out for me. That's a separate video. That's a separate issue. I'll be right back. Let me come back, and I want to just talk about one more thing. We'll finish up and we'll get started. I will put a switch in it. Open it up on another video. We'll put a switch in one of them. And just in case, one dies, one burns out or whatever, I have an issue, I can see why, I can see what parts I need. But so far, they both have been doing different things. Now, just want to finish up. So I'm starting to get a collection of batteries, like smaller 12 volt. I have the gel cells, UPS style batteries. They're much smaller. I got really small batteries. I now have a lithium battery, so I needed something for the lithium battery, and I tried it on I made a lithium booster pack, powered booster pack. So we've got these AGMs, got the motorcycle battery, you got all these different batteries, and I thought, this is just going to keep happening. I need a really decent charger. But I have a Schumacher. It's basically it's an automatic charger. I was never really happy with it. One of the capacitors died. I think another one is dead. It won't auto detect certain batteries. If your batteries, one of the problems you have with these automatics is if the resistance is too high or the battery is too dead, it won't start a charge. So you still are going to want to look around for a standard transformer type battery charger if you don't already have one. Schumacher used to make them years ago. You can still sometimes find them at garage sales. So that's something you want to consider. That's another video. I can get a little deeper into it at. So why this one, right? Why a load tester? They used to be more like carbon pile. You could tweak them. You could adjust them for different loads. This one just is, it is what it is. It's like a nichrome wire in the shape of a W, and it gets very hot. Well, a load tester like this is actually simulating a load, an actual load. And through a lot of my studies on refurbishing batteries, even when a battery is made, most manufacturers, what they'll do is they'll make the battery, they'll put it, some of the better manufacturers will put a slightly lighter acidic compound in, sulfuric acid. It's not quite as acidic. They'll drop it in. They'll charge the battery up to full charge. Then they actually put a physical load on it. And for some of the better manufacturers, they'll dump the, like Odyssey and others, they claim that they dump that acid and they put a stronger one and they recharge it. And I've also seen a lot of information on when you're restoring a battery that can be restored, can be sort of, maintenance and improved. One of the things that a lot of people recommend is charging the battery up with a good battery charger, making sure it comes up to that 12 and change voltage, which we'll see in this video, and then cranking a real load on it. However you can do that, whether it's on a starter motor, it's up on the bench, or physically putting it in a machine, like really like loading it down. But a much better way is this way, because this way, and you'll see at the, more towards the end of the video, like exactly it will tell you on the meter whether it's weak, it's getting into the weak, it's dead, it can't support the load. You'll see after you release the load, if the voltage drops below 12 volts, that's an indication of 1 or 2 dead cells, depending upon the output voltage. You're going to see this, and you're going to stress the battery. Now, if it passes, or if you want to work on it a little bit longer and it's close, you can put it back on that sort of repair maintenance charge and boil the battery, do it in a safe place, and try again. Now, in the future, sometime next year, I want to go over matching this sort of up against the new electronic ones. I'm not against those. I don't have one. I do want to buy a couple of them and see what they do, but they're not going to do what this does. And for $40, it might be a good thing to put in your arsenal. That other charger does 12 and 24 as well. So in some cases, some of the bigger diesels may be in a 24 volt configuration. You might have something that's in a 24 volt configuration. It'll charge it. This thing, load test the hell out of it. It's simple. It's not going to break. I haven't had any issues with it. I've been using it a lot. Now, let's finish up on one more thing. I'll be right back. So this one is actually very good. The other one actually started to measure a bit weak. So now we really know. That's what I like about these kinds of load testers. They really put an effing load on the battery. We're back up at 12.45, 12.46 now. All right, good. We can put this one back on a quick surface charge, and then I'll put this one away. Let me label it up. We got a couple more to test. Looks pretty good in there, but it's a little low. I'm not going to show you that, but we wanted to I do want to recondition this battery, and I think we'll get a lot more use out of it. I also want to keep this thing around. Can you see it in the shot over here? Yeah, we got this guy here. So I like to have something around to run this hoist. So we'll get back to this, but a little distilled water would be fine. This said it was shipped on May of 2020. I'm just going to go hit this with a wire brush, and then I'll spray it with chain wax, and that'll keep it good. And I'm going to put it in a different spot because I want to leave it out. I wiped the battery down, sprayed it with some soapy water, like Dawn dish soap, mixed with water, and wiped everything down. There's no acid on the battery. And we'll come back to this one. Try it, chain wax. It works great for a lot of things. And even like electrical connectors and stuff. And it'll dry, right? It'll make a nice waxy substance, very similar to like the Cosmoline, the stuff that is like put on like brake rotors and things like that when you get them. You gotta get that stuff off. Basically, very similar. I love this stuff. I keep it around for all kinds of things. All right, we'll put this on, bring up that surface charge a little bit, and then I have another spot where I want to keep it and put it away. And here we are. Once again, right? So it's doing a 14 volt charge. I can't tell if it's actually able to see that LCD screen, but yeah, it's doing its thing. It won't take long. It already came up a notch. On 9/13/24, I did a repair charge on it, and I noticed this battery had been a little weak. So it says it was shipped on August of 2019. So let's see what its surface charge is, just hanging out. 12.43. That's not bad. U1R-3T group size U1R. CCA 300. CA is 375. So this is purported to have a little bit more output. Yeah, I get about not quite 12 and a half, a little bit less. 12.43 is what the other meter is saying, the black one. So about 1000. This one also stayed in about the 200 zone. It did not hit the week. All right, this is the last one for this morning. The one that I took off the charge earlier this morning we'll leave it sit for a day or so that we get to that nice static charge. And this one, last one, 230 CCA. It's another U1-7, 230 cold cranking amps, very nice. And it's hitting 12.61. 10, 1,000, 11, 1,000, 12, 1,000. Well, this one stays close to the 400 and is recovering very nicely at 12.34 already. Here's the old Schumacher, and it's got, I gotta say, it's got some weight to it. I put an on-off switch on it, small one. I put some circuit breakers in there. I was pushing it. It does, let me see, it does AGM and lead acid. I think that's all it does. And gels, because gel is basically lead acid. And it has a 2 amp, 6 amp, and a 10 amp scale, and you can kind of choose like the high output. You can kind of, that's it. And I think the battery type, which is the only two, a gel cell, an AGM, and a standard. So I will, speed charge, right? Now, but this is not the old transformer style I'm referring to. You can see is that the meter that I'm using, which is this meter, I just picked this one up. Now, this will be a separate video, fellas, but you'll see it in the video. So it comes in this nice case. We'll do an open box. It comes with a screwdriver and some extra things. And just briefly, right, this is the meter. And you'll see it more within the video itself, right? Clamp-on style. This is what they call a true RMS. It does diode, does capacitive. It has a temperature probe. It also has touchless for AC, and because you can follow an AC circuit and see if it's hot. We'll get into that. It has a flashlight. True RMS DC clamp-on. So that gives me the ability to do inrush, calculate inrush. So for electric motors and variable frequency drives, things of that nature, when you want to control a DC motor really tight, you want to know the inrush current and the FLA, full load amps, and you want to see if it's working properly. You kind of need something like this. So what I've noticed is that this is very accurate. It seems to work very well. It feels nice. And checking the batteries and everything out, everything that I've been doing, testing this as I go. And even that old analog meter that's on that load tester, excuse me, it's pretty damn accurate. So I'm like expanding out, and that's the idea, is to expand out a bit and to get some different test gear and some different, things that I would need to deal with all these different electrical issues that I'm coming across, whether with the job or around the house, or with, I want to get into electronics more, a little bit more. I had one of these monitors burn out on me, and that's on the one of the videos as well out there. I was able to fix that. So to get into this stuff, we need some new tools. And again, I'll get you out of here on this, and we'll get to the actual video, back to it. I want to know, can we get some good, cheap stuff for cheap? Are we at that point? And I think if we're careful, I think the answer is yes. All right, let's keep going. All right, fellas, it's the next day. This is the last battery, the one that I had charged and put on the side without a polarization filter on the camera. That's what all the glare is all about. All right, we're going to do like a 10 or 12 1000. You ready? 1 1000, 2 5 1000, 6 1000, 8 1000, 10 1000, 11 1000, 12 1000, 13 1000, 14 1000, 15 1000. All right, you see it hit 10.86, and look to see where it is. It's actually beyond the 400 mark over here, and the 200 is at the very bottom. It never hit the weak. I mean, that's getting hot. It never hit the weak. The voltage is bouncing right back, 12.39. You saw where it was to start off with. Remember that one of the first batteries we did, which I marked, actually went into the weak zone. We had a couple that stayed. There's another battery that I kept that was also in the 400 ramp. So just breaking the 400. So it was well into the 200. Remember, these are only 230 CCAs. but they're like 300 CAs. So that's a good battery. We'll zoom out and I'll show you this battery before we're done. 12.55. That's nice. I bought these products, okay? So I can say whatever I want. I'm not bound by, anything. Just my pocketbook. So we'll get into that later. So this means, because it was beeping, it's just about ready to shut off. So we can shut it off right now. All right, let's get back to this battery. So I wrote on it, Craftsman. It was out of one of the Craftsmans back there in the marshalling yard, the laydown yard. And I had charged it on 123, and I said it was okay with a different charger, my old handmade custom battery charger. I just recharged it, right? We had this on charge yesterday, and I pulled it off charge. And I had this on charge I just kind of left it for about a week. I did run a repair on it, 1019. So it's from 2019. If you keep your batteries in good shape, are there any other stickers on this? No, that's just that one. So this one doesn't actually call out its CA, but we could tell from just testing it, it did really well. So this is another one. I want to keep the best batteries. So I have 3 batteries and 2 for sale. This one I'll probably label and I might sell it. It's a 2019, but I try to sell off the oldest batteries, and I want to make sure I can test everything and know that I'm selling a decent battery. Not a new battery, but a decent used battery. So I think we're good for this segment. Like I said, I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to put it back on charge just for however long it takes, so that the surface charge is returned to it because we put a big load on it. All right. So it did good. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, just a real quick look at what I wound up with, what I'd like to keep, and where the positive and negatives are, and group sizing, okay? So this is a U1R-3T, so it's a group U1, and it's actually the only one that I have where the left side is negative. That's if you face the battery this way, right? So you may say, well, Arch, turn around the other way. It's actually different. But we're going to just look at it from this side right now. And the right side is positive. And of course, if you turn all the batteries around the other way, it really depends on how they call it out. But what you want to be concerned with is the group size and where is the negative and positive and which way are you turning it. So if you got to look at pictures or you show up at a store, where are your wires coming from? And that's what matters to you. And can you reverse them? A lot of times, a lot of tractors is enough lead wire for you to move things around. So this is U1R-3T, and the positive is here, and the negative is here. And now, so all of these are basically U1. So this is a U1. All right, and it's a U17, and the positive is now on the left side when facing the battery this way. Negative is over here. Same with this guy. This is also a U1, and this says 250 cold cranking amps, listed as 310 CA, and it actually performed very well in the load test. And this is a U1, but it's a 230 CCA. There's no rating for CA. And again, positive over here, negative here, positive here, negative here. Let's come to this one. U17, all right, left positive. Again, U17, 230. So different ever start. And where's the date on it? Depends. So again, positive here, negative here. This is a U17. This was from 1019. Positive here, negative here. This one said it load tested over 400. Like on that scale, right? That's where it wound up. It was in the more of the 400, which would make sense if it's putting out about 300 or so, cranking amps. So that's positive here, negative here. That's from 2019. This one might have a date on it. Some of these did not have dates on them, or none that I could find. So this could be a newer one, but it tested over 200. This one tested really high. This one tested very high because it was over 200. And this is the rated for 250, the 310. This one says 200 load test, so this one hit the 200 mark. These are the ones I'd like to keep. I'd like to keep all of them, honestly. But if I have to sell something, look, this is a newer one, and the load was weak. It was hitting in the yellow. And that's a 322. So that's actually a newer one. There's shipped 2019 of August, and this one did okay. This is the only one I have where the positive is on the right when facing this way and the negative is here. So this is a U1R-3T, and it's an older one, slightly older, 2019. And I did all the same weight. It's tested about 200. So this one's in good shape. All right, so now I can put these away. Let me see what else I want to do, and just for a matter of reference. Yeah, this one, oh, look here. May of 2020. That one has, that Duralast has a sticker on it. May of 2020. Yeah, 2019, 2020. Wow. These are getting old. But as I said, if it's dead, it's dead. And I've seen a lot of videos out there, people pouring baking soda. Again, I've tried all of this. That'll be in a separate video. I'll try to make that within a half an hour as well. I've got tons of footage on this stuff. It takes a long time to sift through it and try to make a simple video. So let me get you out of here on this. Works good. Both of them work good. That's covered. Nailed that. We got more to show on that coming up. I gave you a quick look at the meter that I was using, the new meter. That's going to be a separate video. I like it. And then, of course, a little bit deeper look at the batteries themselves, what I was charging, the tractor batteries, how many I wound up with, quite a few. Some of them are better than others. Now I know which ones, regardless of the age, as you could see, some of them were better than others. And I certainly want to keep, I want to keep the better ones, right? Right, fellas? I mean, I have, particular needs. Like I said, I got that hoist thing on the work table. I'm going to be pulling in a big right walk behind. I may have to go to a car battery to really support that. But for most of the stuff that I'm dragging in there, a good, smaller tractor battery seems to be doing the job. It's easy to move around. My tractors and stuff, I keep them on charge from time to time. I just did. I went outside before the rain and everything. I was outside a couple of weeks back. And I said, it's been a little while. I threw them on the charger real fast and I topped them off. Once a year, even the ones that are in the tractor and in the snapper, I'll throw them on the repair charge, right? And let it run for an hour or whatever. And I'm done with that, okay? So I don't even take the battery out. So far, so good. They've had them for a couple of years now, right? You see how some of these batteries are getting older. This is what I do. So we covered over this, pile type tester, real load tester. We'll call it the W nichrome wire load tester. It's not a carbon pile. That seems to work good. It was $40. Put it in your arsenal. Other than that, I focus more on the tractor batteries. Again, we'll get into some of the other stuff. I also have a video out on the lithium ion, lithium. It's not Li-I. It's a Life Pro 4. Check that out, fooling around with that, and I made a nice booster pack with it, and that's been coming in handy between the dead battery in the van and some of the dead batteries on the tractors outside. That's been working pretty good. I do have that Odyssey battery on order for my van, and that will be another video if and when that comes in. It takes a while. That's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it. It's a little bit of a boring thing. It's not compelling footage, fellas. In this field, they don't want to deal with electronics, electrical, more than two wires, they freak out. But this is simple stuff, right? Take care of your batteries, and a good one's getting more expensive. Unless you want to buy those some of these are the crappy Walmart batteries, fellas. We'll leave you with that. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping in.